I'd like to thank you all for coming. My name is Christine, and I am one of the members of the Good Mornings team. So for those of you that it's your first time coming, Good Mornings is a monthly breakfast speaker series about social innovation. So we bring in socially innovative business people from across New York City, and we have them come just kind of speak informally, have question and answer session a little bit at the end about the creative process, about innovation, about social purpose, anything really. Anything goes. We obviously provide free breakfast, so at any point, please feel free to get food, get coffee, anything like that. And this is Alastair Ong. He is of GreenSoul Shoes, excuse me, and he has graciously agreed to speak to us all today. So please,
he's also an alum.
He's also an alum, yes. So without further ado, of course, I will not get in your way, but I will step over this way.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. So GreenSoul Shoes is it's a company that I started in about 2008. Its mission is to shoe underprivileged kids around the world in an eco-beneficial way. We do this by working with local artisans in developing nations to produce a 100% upcycled sandal. That's a sandal that's made out of rubber tires and inner tubes with no staples, tacks, or glues. And for each one that we sell here, or in Australia, or in Europe, we give one back to an underprivileged child in the community that made them. So it's a bit like Toms. You guys have all heard of Toms. How many people here have Toms, by the way? Yeah, I hate you guys. No. Basically, I know Blake Mykoski, great guy. The difference between our models is if you notice, Toms makes their espadrilles out of cotton, and he makes his shoes in China, right? And he pays maybe $2 per shoe, and he sells them for $80. Now that's not necessarily enough to make me say, Blake, what the hell are you doing? Because he's making good money. The challenge is that he gives his shoes away to a community that has no relation to the manufacturing of them. So say he drops 100,000 pairs in El Salvador. The first thing that happens is what? The shoemakers go out of business, right? Because they have no customers. So you got 100,000 shoes going to the community, I mean, Blake has got his heart in the right place. Like, he tried to come up with a great model, and it worked for him. But when you think about the model is really where you have some problems. So then what happened, by his own admission, his espadrilles last, 3 months in a developing nation, right? Because they're cotton, so they get wet, they tear, and they're not puncture resistant. So after 3 months, the shoes are discarded. And then what happens? There are no shoemakers or shoes. So the community becomes dependent on another donation of shoes. So this is why the UN won't work with Toms, and the UN works with us because we try to champion the local community. Like with the local manufacturer, we pull tires out of landfills, which is great for the community because tires in Southeast Asia, they just sit there and they take 100, 200 years to degrade. And it collects rainwater, which breeds mosquitoes, which passes malaria and dengue fever. So we pull tires out of landfills and we make maybe 8 pairs out of a truck tire, and then we use an artisan in that community, and then when we donate back to that same community, and the artisan knows the people that are getting them, so he becomes a champion in the community, much like microfinance. If you know anything about microfinance, the reason why the people pay back so regularly at such a high rate is because it's community-based, and no one in the community wants to be known as the deadbeat who failed to pay a debt. So when you make it community-based, there's something that happens. And one of my first shoe drops, I went to the local artisan, and I was just talking to him about ordering more sandals and some new designs. And a kid went running down the street without shoes, and he called him over and he said, "Hey, where are your shoes?" And the kid was like, "Oh, I lent them to my sister because she has school today." So it was amazing that this artisan knew the name of the kid that was barefoot. He also knew that he gave him a pair of sandals. He got a pair of donation sandals. So so he became like a hero in the community. So that we try to foster that kind of thing. That's also our biggest challenge, by the way, working with local artisans, right? So it's a mixed blessing. So I thought that for the rest of this, so I brought some sandals so that you can see as props. So this is our box. We wanted a box that would sit on the shelves, a retail store shelves, attractively, yet at the same time be used as a mailing container. Because how many people have ordered Zappos or shoes online where you get a shoe box inside of another box with all this paper filling? So we wanted a box that, so we have this recycled cardboard box with 3 sides with information on it, and this side left for the UPS or FedEx label. And then, so we have various models. This model is our first model and one of our most popular models. So this is a bag that comes with the shoes. We got this from airlines. You know, when you get the headrests on airlines, we stitch them into bags. They're not the most durable thing, but this is I'll just pass them around. This is our first sandal named after Pagda. And we name our sandals, interestingly, by vote or by I'll pass it back around too. Or by employees. Our employees name them. So this was the Model T Ford of our sandals. You can get it in any color so long as it was black. And we realized that that 80% of our transactions were happening from women, so we needed to change things up a bit. So we implemented we had a cork, and we have a proprietary mix of cork and rubber, and we make this, rice husk and rubber to make it simulate a Birkenstock. And we can change the gibbets, and we can change the color of the footbed. And these are various styles of the same rice husk and rubber blend. And we also sell on our website these bags. They're kind of crazy. Can you tell what they're made out of? Maybe I'll pass it around and you guys can see. Yeah, soda tabs. Good, Christine. Yeah. And this one is our secret model, our hidden secret model. This one we feel is going to revolutionize the world of footwear. It's a sandal made out of recycled rubber tires. We hope to blow Havaianas out of the water with this one, right? Because we can sell for 45 while Havaianas are going for, what, 80? So I thought I'd talk about 3 overall lessons that I can pass to you. Because when I hear speakers, I always try to find at least one takeaway that I can apply. So I thought I'd give you 3 of them, and maybe one of them will resonate, and you can write it down. Or maybe if we have time, I'll do a 4th. And if throughout this time you have any questions, feel free to ask. We don't have to save it to the end. Go ahead.
One quick question. What did you use for the material on that sock?
Yeah, so it's basically suede. It comes from a leather manufacturer in Vietnam that was using it as discards. So even though it is recycled, but yeah, we did have a problem with that as well as we needed to glue that down. So that one has glue in it. So, and the sandal works great, but the problem is the toe, where you put your toe in. We used like a piece of plastic to keep it together, but it's a bit thick. So we're trying to work with a neoprene factory that makes scuba suits in Vietnam to be able to put neoprene in there, and they'll be really comfortable. So the first lesson, or the first takeaway that I'd like you guys to go home or think about is, well, actually, let me approach it from a different way. I'm going to talk about some really successful people, and you guys can tell me what they have in common. Kurt Cobain, Jim Belushi, Robin Williams. Does anyone see a pattern, or no? Let's say I could keep going, but game changers, yeah. That's one thing. I guess Jim Belushi in comedy, Kurt Cobain music, Robin Williams acting. Actually, all of these people had what I consider a lot of success, right? They all had fame, they all had money, yet they all killed themselves. Yeah, they were all dead. They all died, and they all accelerated their death. And so you may ask yourself, well, what is it that they had that would cause them to die? Like Robin Williams was a multimillionaire. He did comedy. He was known for comedy, but he ended up trying to do a drama, and he got an Oscar for it, right? And he had fame, he had success, he had a wonderful family, yet he killed himself. And my thought is, no one here wants to end up like that, right? Successful but dead, or causing your death. And I think the reason that these people killed themselves is because they weren't doing what they were passionate about, right? So I guess the first lesson, the first takeaway is don't confuse success with passion. Like when you think about your goals, you may think about money, you may think about family, you may think about whatever it is, your business or about schools, your grades, but don't confuse success with what you're passionate about. Because if you follow your passion, like they always say, follow your passion, right? And you'll be successful. That's not necessarily true, but if you follow your passion, you've won the game of life. Because even if you're not successful, or you're not wealthy, or you're not famous for doing it, at least you're doing what you really love. And that, to me, you've won the game of life. If you're good at it, and you make money, well, then that's a side benefit. But the money and the success and the fame, that's all a derivative of doing what you're passionate about. So, and throughout my life, I've had goals and I've achieved them, then realized that I didn't want them. Like I didn't want to achieve the goal, or I didn't want what came about with the achievement of the goal, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So this has started when I went to Fordham Law. I became a lawyer. I wanted to go to law school, right? That was the goal. I went to law school. Then I realized that in law school, they don't teach you anything about the law, right? So you have to work the law, which is why they call